Good morning. It is Monday, the 13th of May. Like I always say, we're literally uh, almost half the year. So that really, brings into question what you've been doing so far and how much you have put together as far as your life is concerned, as far as your goals for 2024 are concerned, and what have you been able to achieve in this period. This is the reason we come every weekday, Monday to Friday. This is us giving back. This is us saying, look, for whatever it's worth, we are sharing our knowledge. And if you're serious enough, you can use this knowledge to really take it to the next level. I can tell you for a fact that yes, we do charge as consultants, we do have our work cut out for us, but at the same time, to be honest, this is a good way to really genuinely help people out there. So that if you're serious enough, you can just go back into the entire series and pick out what you need to make progress. I have found that serious people, myself inclusive, have done that. I've done that in the past. I've gone to gurus and top leaders in various endeavors and seen what they post on their socials, and some of it is so valuable. I've literally taken that stuff and arranged it in an orderly way and then learned it deliberately, notebook and all. And that's the reason why, as a general rule of thumb, I have my notebook everywhere I go, because I get ideas. Of course, these phones nowadays have notes in them, so you can write notes, you can do all sorts of things in order to ensure that you stay up to date and keep track of what's going on as far as your progress is concerned. But I can tell you that we have almost 4 years worth of content on this platform. In fact, let me try and think about this. We have clocked 4 years, because we started in April 2020, just when COVID was announced and lockdowns began. At that period in 2020, that's when we started doing these meetings. So we've been running for 4 years now. So we can't even say almost, but now we've done 4 years. And in that 4 years, I tell you, we have dispersed. Is it dispensed or dispersed? I always get a bit mixed up with these two words. A lot of value. In fact, I think it's dispensed. We have dispensed a lot of value to those that choose to follow. So if you want to see yourself progress, if you want to see yourself, do the best you can to progress and move forward, I suggest that you literally take a mark of every one of these sessions that we offer Monday to Friday, so that you can see yourself generally improve. So Mondays is yours truly coming through with the quantum, unleashing your destiny rather. And then on Tuesday, we have Aunt Sylvia, or Dr. We call her fondly Sunshine, but Dr. Sylvia Mwansa, who comes through with Mindset Change Program. Wednesdays is open market. So I think this Wednesday's me again. I'll double check. And then on Thursday, it's Dr. Nelly with Prosperity for Your Soul. Very, very powerful stuff. And then on Fridays, we have Dr. Jacqueline Mulundika, ably represented by Dr. John Muvanga, as he presents on alternative health. And by the way, this Friday, he has a very, very interesting subject. I'm looking forward to it. He's talking about GMOs and the fact that they are back full swing. Very, very interesting subject, which you definitely do not want to miss. And I'm talking about GMOs that are now being dispersed to farmers, and farmers' introduction of new seed, and all these things, and what they're doing to harm the environment and change food as we know it. It's a really, really deep subject. You don't want to miss that. So anyway, so today I jump on and I'm speaking on the quantum realm of the impossible, and we continue the examination of the next two, probably 5 and 6, or maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't know, of the 14 factors on how to achieve a quantum leap in performance at any level, whether corporate or personal, is capable of exponential progress when it comes to a quantum leap. I strongly advise reading Dr. Pritchett's book U Squared, in which he describes the procedures for making a quantum leap in life or business, if you want to learn more about this idea. Now, let me also remember, those who've joined us now, tag somebody, let somebody know that we're on. let them come through and benefit. I've got some really, really good stuff here. Now, Pritchett says that we don't have to be content with incremental gradual change through the application of hard work. Rather, we are capable of an explosive jump in performance. Okay? That part just always gets me. All right, so he says that this can be done at an accelerated rate and it requires less effort. So how do we do that, or how does this take place? Well, number 5 is focus on ends rather than means. So it's crucial to have a clear picture of what you want to accomplish. And this is the reason having vision boards and blueprints is absolutely critical. In fact, the idea behind vision boards and blueprints is to reinforce that into this eye of your mind. And you know, when the mind is commanded anything, I always say this all the time, whatever you command the mind goes to work to search and find. That is one of the most amazing truths about how God created us. So when you create these things and you put them as vision boards, as blueprints, or whatever it is, the mind is able to hold that in. So listen, when you are about to embark on any building project, the owner seeks the services of an architect who will make inquiries on what precisely the owner wants the building for, its purpose as well as function. And once that's understood, then proposals are given, after which the final plan and image is produced. Now notice how detailed and precise that building is. Yet they must also engage a surveyor whose job is to give the precise cost of the building in terms of inputs. And this surveyor will produce what is called a bill of quantity, or a BOQ, that is fairly accurate based on prevailing market prices at the time of producing it. All right. So even as they proceed with gathering all the materials and other resources, the plan stands, and success will be gauged by how close the final building looks to the blueprint of image. Okay. So have you noticed the detail, the level of detail in that process? This is also true of any endeavor taken up by all of us, yourself, myself. Once the idea is in our mind, what follows is the gathering of resources necessary to complete it. And it is here that the solutions start to appear. So the process causes so many things to materialize, literally to start appearing out of nowhere, right? Especially if the visionary is determined to see what they start come to fruition. It is why we also recommend that one draws the map as you go. I hope that's really making sense to you. So you don't want to have everything at the beginning, but yes, you try and do all the plans. I mean, a house is more specific than a business, but either way, you don't want to over plan, because you end up suffering from what we call paralysis paralysis rather. So you want a situation where you gather what you can, but once you gather what you need, take off, just start, just move on and get things going. And like I say, this may sound counterintuitive, but it is very powerful, because once one has a clear vision of what they want to happen and start the process of working towards achieving the same, even if all items that are needed are not available, the very act of commencing and working toward making it happen will in and of itself make all the other resources and even the map itself become clearer and more detailed. That I find so powerful. So here are some practical applications to make that happen. All right, just a few simple ones. So one of them, keep your eyes on the ball, okay? Eyes on the prize. Choosing to always keep your eyes on the work at hand, that is what this phrase means, okay? Do not lift your eyes to be distracted by what seems like barriers and endings. Even when everything seems to come to a screeching halt, there may be another route at present. So what may look like an end may be a new beginning. So keep your eyes on the ball, meaning whatever you're doing. And then further, you must also focus on the end. So you're keeping your eyes on the ball, but you keep lifting up to see where you're going. All right. So look where you're going and then look at the ball. Look where you're going and then look at the ball. So here we're saying focus on the end. So if the earlier asked you to keep your eyes on the ball, then this one asks you to always know where the goal is located in your field. Okay. And that is paramount, because when you know where you should be driving that ball toward, you see, if you lose perspective of the goal relative to your ball, then that can have disastrous consequences. So then ensure that you always know where you're going. So even as you play, keep looking up. Where's the goal? Where's the goal? Over there. All right. Then you back to your bowl. You're looking up, you're back to your bowl, and that's very critical, and that must be interchanged at all times, okay? So listen to this. Now, there are times that you may seem to be going backwards or sideways, but if your aim is to get to the goal, then this is a necessary setback or a comeback. So there are times when things are going to look like they're not working, but don't you worry about it. Keep your eyes on the ball, keep your eyes on the ball, keep your eyes on the prize, and keep interchanging and looking. And sometimes as you're going, you will see obstacles, and by keeping looking up and looking down, you can avoid those obstacles. You can go around those obstacles, or if it's rugby, you can go through the obstacle. It's really up to you. And here's the thing. Ask the right questions. The answers are already there. They just need to be sought. I like this one. The only time the right questions occur is when you are in the process of executing actions towards a desired outcome. That means the questions come only then. Okay? Right. And where an endeavor is never commenced, the appropriate challenges that bring about the questions would never occur in the first place. So here's the thing, get to work, even without any proper analysis. As you progress, the resources will show up, I guarantee you. And you know, this asking the right questions, I want to stress that a bit just before we proceed. You know, the brain is amazing. The brain has no capacity to process negative words like don't, no. These words, you know, don't compute to the brain. And I always like to demonstrate by using a very simple but powerful example. I want you right now, do not think of a pink elephant. Exactly. I mean, that's exactly what you've done. You've thought of a pink elephant. And you see, that's the funny thing. So the brain ignores the do not and just goes for the actual action itself. And that's why when you ask the wrong questions, you get the brain on a wrong spiral. Because the brain, here's the part that shocked me most when I learned this first. The brain continues to seek for answers even when consciously you are no longer thinking of that answer, or that question rather. So the brain just goes to work. And that's why if you make the mistake of asking the brain or telling the brain wrong things, then it will go to work looking for those. And that's why we say, ask the right questions. The answer is already there. It just needs to be looked for. This is what in cognitive science we call cognitive vision, that literally recognizing what's in your horizon and literally going after that. So the brain already has this in its periphery. But if you choose to focus on the wrong things, if you choose to ask the wrong questions, that's precisely what you will get. That's why, you know, this number 5, what does it say? It says focus on the end rather than the means. Number 6, which is very, very powerful, states rely on unseen forces. When you focus on the clear picture of what you want to accomplish and move confidently toward it, unexpected and unknown resources materialize. I'll say that again. Unexpected and unknown resources materialize. Unexpected means resources for which you never had any inkling of an idea where such would come from. You knew you needed them so that your endeavor can happen, but you never had the means by which you could garner these resources. Yet, when you commence and get busy making this endeavor happen, all of a sudden, either the resources or an opportunity to generate the resources shows up. Just that's how powerful this is, my friends. It is amazing. But what is even more exciting are the unknown ones. These never even occurred in your mind. Your planning didn't even plan, let alone register their need. But because you commenced with the process, these things just come. I'm telling you. And not only do they come, but they prove very essential to the success of whatever you're trying to do. So here are some practical applications. Number 1, every vision has resources for its finishing or its accomplishment. When you embark on any project, another great factor kicks into place, that being providence. That word, providence. I learned that, you know, it has 2 words in it: provide in advance. That's what providence means, okay? Yeah, provision in advance. So visions though inherent are the work of inner divine spark, what we call the inner divine spark. And when factors within the environment are right, they cause an awakening within the carrier. And as mentioned before, a spark ignites all that is inherent as a way to get the process started. At this stage, this divine ignition also sends what we call vibrations into the created universe that trigger into action every provision set up by the creator for the realization of what is within the vision and its corresponding results. This is one of the most profound truths anybody could ever learn. A lot of people do not progress. Hear me well. If you're listening to me, I want you to pay particular attention to me right now. A lot of people, let me be like Dr. Nelly, a lot of you are not progressing. Maybe not on this video, but somebody will watch this and they'll get it. You are not progressing because you have allowed the lack of resources to be your barrier. I'm waiting when I raise some money. I'm waiting when I get this, or I'm waiting when certain people agree. I'm waiting when that person agrees. No, just get to work. When you start and you run with what you have, somehow that process triggers the other resources that God already prepared before the creation of the foundation of the earth. Place them in the right people, place them in the right places, created ideas within you which will be triggered by certain events as you are progressing, and those things will light up like light bulbs, and all of a sudden the things you didn't even know start showing up. I find this absolutely amazing. I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that's how I've been able to access skills and information and knowledge and capacity and networks worth millions of kwacha. I'm telling you, I've been able to access networks worth millions of kwacha. I've been able to access programs and opportunities worth millions of kwacha because I ran. You know, the other day, I annoyed a lot of people as usual. I like using this because it's just too powerful. It's one of the most telling things that happened to me. I talked about a 50,000 kwacha in your network in 2 days and people got pissed off. But here's something very interesting. Some people kept raising the issue of age. That is the lamest excuse I've ever heard. Let me ask you a question. Age and background, nonsensical reasons. And I'm going to tell you today why. If you look at a man like Yomaps, you think Yomaps, I mean, the money he's making right now, is he even 30? He's not even 30, he's 29, I know for a fact. Okay, he's 29 years old, but Yomaps is living a very, very successful life right now. And what is it that brought that to him? The gift of his music. He did his music so well, and he did it in such a profound way that he attracted all the resources necessary to materialize that music because of his gift and his ability to run with his gift. He didn't sit there and say, somebody will discover me. No, he went wherever opportunity presented itself. Of course, he ended up connecting with friends like Kandeke, his manager, and that then brought about Kandeke and whoever else is part of his setup. And that brought about a synergy that then created the explosive power necessary for the manifestation of everything he needed. This is what we call the suspension of belief. Another good example are two players, Barbara Banda and Kundananji. I always forget her first name. These ladies are profoundly awesome football players. They are under 30. They are already making millions of kwacha. Millions of kwacha. What was their claim to fame? The skill they carry, their football. And remember, because they were so gifted in their football and so willing to go out there and do everything in their power to make that football happen, to make that soccer happen, the practice, the kids, whatever. These things start to show up because you carry a gift and you are dispersing value into the marketplace. Never forget that, my friends. So here's the point. The vision will manifest all the resources necessary. And it is that which then becomes providential in its truest sense. Indeed, where the ordinary see coincidence, those that understand what this implies see providence. All right, so ordinary people see coincidence, but those who understand, like myself and the people in this group, we know it's providence. Although no future is written or cast in concrete, providence awaits those brave enough to start. So the question is, are you brave enough to even start? That's the saddest part. Most people just haven't got the courage. Most people are so freaked out when it comes to taking that bold step to go to the next level. And so this brings us to number 7. All right, number 7 is choose a different set of rules. That's another one that just gets me so excited. Wait, am I even in the correct place? Let me see. Man, I've got the. All right, so here we are. So think beyond. Nah, I got this wrong. Hold on. Different set of rules. I need to go straight to that one. Give me a second. Open the wrong one. You know how these things are, my friends. So think using a different set of rules. And so I'm looking at 2 others very quickly, and trust in the power of the pursuit. So we're going to look at those 2. So let's quickly look at this one now. So choose a different set of rules. So you can never avoid risk. Okay, you can never avoid risk, but you can, just a moment, you can only choose which risks you will take. So you can't avoid risk because life is full of risks, but you can choose which risks to take. And that is what reality is, a risk. As many would say, every day you wake up, you're one day closer to your death day. Okay. Further, every day you wake up, there are so many risks associated with life and living, yet we just go about life now, don't we? So risks will always be there. And many spend way too much time worrying about their lives and risks and what they stand to lose. Yet ask yourself this question: how many things you worried about so much actually took place? So the truth is that when you examine that question critically, it's very few. Of course, the ones that the ones that happen to have serious implications when they do, but when compared to how much happens and goes well, does not end up as a calamity, it's a relatively minute number. And that is why bad news makes headlines. It is because for every one bad event that occurs, literally hundreds occur without incident. Whether it's accidents, plane crashes, disasters, financial collapse, and just about any other calamity you can think of, the truth is they are few and far between. And so statistically speaking, where calculated risks are taken, chances for failure reduce even more. Okay, and if one takes the extra precaution of working with mentors like this platform, being connected to the right associations like the PLD, which Dr. Nelly runs, getting the relevant skills and ensuring they start right, then the chances of failure reduce immensely. In short, they will minimize and manage risk well. So having said that, here is the most significant risk you will ever take. It is the risk of believing in yourself. I'll say it again. The most significant risk you'll ever take is the risk of believing in yourself. Many just do not have the self-confidence necessary to venture into an endeavor that challenges conventional approaches, okay? And because they do not believe in themselves and their capability to succeed, regardless of the odds stacked against them, they already start with the worst handicap possible: self-doubt. Okay, self-doubt. Now, this brings me to another very bold position to take when it comes to this issue of self-doubt. Be an outlier. That's another one I find many people fail to do. Let me explain. Many people are conformists. This comes as a result of that internal urge with many persons to fit in and be accepted by their peers. It's called social conformity. It's a powerful, powerful thing. If you join my classes on neuropsychology, I would show you how powerful social conformity is. It's so powerful that even the most stubborn people tend to conform naturally. Why? Because we hate to be different. It's just natural. You don't want to be different. So that's why you tend to conform, okay? In fact, in many instances, there isn't even a path to begin with, okay? Every great invention, business, or establishment began with someone questioning conventional approaches and then taking a radical, at the time unknown and untested route instead. And that's the part that many people are scared of. What are people going to say? What will people think? So a lot of times, instead of taking that step to step out, people scare you into conforming. And so most people just conform, just so they're at peace. Do you know how many things they go against internally in the name of conforming? You'll be stunned. So here's a practical application to, pushing this in, okay? Self-belief is everything. No one follows someone who does not know where they're going. So seeing that one has to be willing to choose which risks you will take, the greatest being the willingness to risk believing in oneself and in the process becoming an outlier. Okay? Unwavering self-confidence and self-belief become absolutely cardinal. And this means being 100% confident in one's choice, even if that choice is wrong. Mhm. People always seek to follow those who seem to know where they're going and where they are headed, okay? What they're doing. And they may not do so in the beginning, but once results show, they will come along. So just have the courage to believe in yourself, have the courage to tell yourself that I'm going to use a different set of rules. One of the images I like to use in this particular training is a little book thrown in the bin. It's called rule book, and you throw it in the bin. I'm not saying you should throw away. There are certain rules which are for our good. For example, I believe moral laws and ethical issues are good because there is a positive power to following those. So, for example, if we are deliberately disobedient to God, we will pay a price. So I am not talking about becoming a rebel to the laws and truth of God. No, my friends. I am talking about being a rebel to the confines of society and the defined status that society tends to give people. Listen, society is very good at labeling. So when you're married, for example, there is a label for that. And then if your marriage doesn't work and you have to exit, there is a label for that. And a lot of people don't like that label. So the irony of life is that so many people are so uncomfortable in their status as singles that they really look for ways to get into marriage. I'm not saying everybody does that, but it's a very common thing. And there are many good reasons that would happen. But what happens is that when they get into, so they really push because they don't like the idea of being looked at on the side. Biological clock is ticking, all sorts of things. Society is dictating. Everybody's reminding you of your singleness. And so you get so tired of that. And so you jump into this marriage without proper preparation, no vision, nothing. And then this thing is a living nightmare. And then now you're scared to come out because you're saying, what will people think? Worse still, if you came out the first time and it didn't work, and then now your second time around, there's a lot of people who've lived absolutely miserable lives because they've said, if I'm going to exit out of this second one, people will say, what kind of person am I? All I do is specialize in divorcing. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I'm just telling you that a lot of people are in this bondage I'm talking about right now. This is true of people who don't start businesses because they say, what if it fails? Oh, last time I tried, it failed. Everybody laughed at me. I made announcements. I did a big thing. And then the whole thing failed spectacularly. I'm not trying ever again. And so a lot of people find themselves in this particular psychological trap where they allow society to dictate to them what they should be. And so they remain stuck in that. Very dangerous. Let me finish this last one. Trust in the power of the pursuit. Okay, dreams begin to crystallize into reality when they are pursued because the world behaves differently when you go after what you want. Ooh, I love that. The very process of pursuing unlocks hidden resources that are not evident when you begin. And this therefore means that the resources required to bring into reality the vision one carries are tied to the pursuit, not just the vision. So the vision is good, yeah, at least you got a vision, but when you actually start running towards the vision, resources pop up. I've said this before. And an even bigger factor is what I'm about to tell you. So here are some practical applications. One of the factors is something called momentum. Okay, so there's a law called the law of momentum. And the law of momentum states, guys, listen to this. It says, it takes, what does it say? It says that it takes 5 times more effort to start than to keep going. Yep, that's the law of momentum. It takes 5 times more effort to start than to keep going. In short, when you are running, you only need a quarter of the energy. But when you are starting, you need not a quarter, you need a fifth of the energy. But when you're starting, you need all that energy. So if you had to use 100 units to start, you only need 20 units to keep going. So many people miss that, okay? So here it is. Momentum is a huge factor, and once you start something and keep at it, it gets relatively easier to keep going. In short, every time you stop, you lose all the gains you made. All the gains you made, you lose them. Ever heard of the law of momentum? That's what it says. I say it about. This is why, for instance, if you drove 200 kilometers in traffic conditions, there would be far more use of petrol or fuel compared to if you drove the same distance on an open highway. You actually use less fuel and get there faster, cover more distance in a shorter time. Okay, so studies have shown that the traffic conditions will use up maybe 5 or 6 times the amount of fuel you'd have used if you were on a constant move. So why is this so? That is because whenever you stop, you will have to exert more energy to get the car moving. In short, that vehicle engine will require more energy or revs to beat the inertia. And this means that the constant revving will burn more fuel, and that is where all the energy is expended. And it's no different to any endeavor you start, okay? You require more energy to get it going, and so you make it harder to progress. But once something is on the go, the effort to keep it moving is far less, and that's why momentum is a huge factor and must never be ignored, no matter how hard and how disheartening something is. Just try. Don't drop it or quit unless it's not your calling and you were doing it just because somebody else told you. So you want to push with all your heart, and that's why we say trust the power of the pursuit. There is power in the pursuit. So it's sad that many people stop. And I've heard what sound like good excuses. You know, I had to have a baby, I had to go to school, I had to first get this particular skill. There are many excuses, and there's a phrase I've come to love using. We rationalize. The word rationalize in my books is made of 2 words: rational lies. So you are telling yourself lies to rational, to create rationality to the situation. So to make the situation make sense, you lie to yourself. That's what we call rationalize. So I don't like rationalizing. Just accept that, okay, Tinabileka, I was sure. Let's just see how we can start again. Just come to terms with the failure, learn from the failure, and start more intelligently. There's nothing wrong with starting if you fail, because that's going to happen to even the best of us. But the key is consistency. Get back up, review, do what you need to do. And that's why the 2 phrases I'll leave you with today, very profound. Phrase number 1: plan, do, review, revise, repeat. Plan, do, review, revise, repeat. Plan, do, review, revise, repeat. And keep going on with this. And what you'll notice is you get better and better and better and better until you're really good. And the second phrase is repetition is the key to mastery. Right? So plan, do, review, revise, repeat. Repetition is the key to mastery. So if you want to become a master, a guru, repeat stuff. Just do the good stuff and keep doing it again and again. And that's why some of us here show up consistently to do this until this stuff, we can speak it asleep. Every one of the speakers on this call can be caught unawares and run. And I've demonstrated it several times where I have a guest and they drop off, or I'm asked to speak on something suddenly, quickly. Like, are you able to come? You know what? If it's in my field, easily. I can actually go and stand there with no notes and teach the whole day. Okay? This is something that I can do. Why? Because I do it all the time. So I've become proficient at it. And that's what every one of you should realize. Whatever it is you pick to do as your gift, as your talent, as your ability, do it repeatedly. And that's where the law of momentum kicks in. The more you do it, the better you become. If you're consistent in it, you become a guru. And it's Malcolm Gladwell in his runaway bestseller, The Tipping Point, where he says, mastery is achieved through repetition. But he didn't say that. That's me. But he said that everyone has that tipping point. When you do something often, you start to accumulate hours. And when you hit a certain number of hours, you hit critical mass, and it's the tipping point. You become a professional. You become a master of that field. That's why a pilot who's flown over 12,000 hours is a master. He doesn't even have to think about it. These things are reflex. That's the power of repetition of any given skill. Do it often and you become a master. You cross that Rubicon and you are no longer touchable. You go into the master guru space because you have mastered the art. And that's why those of you watching and listening, pick that one thing, go through self-discovery, pick that one thing, and then pursue it vigorously without ever quitting. In my next presentation, we'll be looking at seek failure. Actively seek failure and get uncomfortable. So we'll pick those two as part of the quantum realm of the impossible. So for myself, I want to thank you guys. Tomorrow, Dr. Nelly will be here. Dr. Sunshine Sylvia will be here with Mindset Change. Have a great day, and we will see you next.